Welcome to the Men's Forum. I'm your host, Gary Costanza, and as you can see, we're on location at an NCFM, National Coalition of Free Men meeting, and I'm here with colleagues and members, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves right now. John, take it away, John.
Hi, I'm John. Most of you probably know me as the co-host of the Men's Forum. I work with Gary on location. We've done a lot of road trips together, and I advocate for men's rights and fathers' rights. And I'm also active in the community supporting men's sports, boys' sports. I coach various little league level and entry level sports in the local town and the local school community as well.
I'm Steven Svoboda. I'm a national board member of the National Coalition of Free Men, Public Relations Director, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm very dedicated to working on men's rights in the legal system.
Hello, I'm Ed Stevens, and I'm a physician. I specialize in psychiatry, and my interest has focused lately on men's mental health. And that's not because they are any worse off than anyone else. It's because it's an underserved group. We're being blamed and shamed rather than helped and understood. And so that's what I'm up to.
Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm a member of the National Coalition of Free Men Greater New York chapter. And I'm basically, really starting to get my feet wet on the whole realm of issues that encompass men's rights, and I'm starting to learn a lot of stuff. Fortunately, I haven't been through a divorce myself, and I haven't had to deal with custody issues, but I'm hearing from the guys who have been through that kind of stuff, and I guess it's good for me to hear this stuff, because these are all things that I should know before I jump in and do anything.
Don't jump in.
Don't jump in.
My name is Mark Sutton. I am a musician as well as a men's rights activist, and I am acting secretary and director of the New York chapter of the NCFM.
Thank you very much, all of you. Very good. Glad to be with all you guys. Well, what we're doing tonight is Mark Sutton had an appearance on MSNBC, and the subject was hunting for Bambi, and I had to do a little research on that because I hadn't heard about what it was. So that's going to be our main topic for tonight. But we're going to probably talk a little bit about some other current issues before we get into it. And we are going to bring you the clip that that Mark was on MSNBC, national, actually worldwide premiere of Mark Sutton on MSNBC.
So let me introduce the clip a little bit. So first of all, Hunting for Bambi is basically a website in Nevada that is basically a kind of like a soft porn site which sells videos of men. Like, it's kind of a spoof of a hunting video, but the men are hunting naked women with paintball guns. Then they also offered on their website these hunting trips where you could go and play a game of paintball where you're hunting naked women for the price of between $5,000 and $10,000. And then the other thing about them was originally this site had links on it, and you could click on the women who are the Bambis, and they were all prostitutes, because this is Nevada where prostitution is legal. So this whole thing was really great publicity stunt by this guy. And before I had gone on, first of all, I got called to do this. It would not have been the first subject that I would have chosen to be on. And that's when I talk about, there's the whole thing, we can go to the story, or we can try to create a story and have the media come to us. Those are two different ways. This was clearly a case of there's a story, I'm just going to jump in on it, because I got the call, so I did it. Because, it's like, well, you'll see what my opinion is when we watch the clip, but, the thing is basically fake. There might have been a couple hunts. It got so much publicity, they might have done a couple just for the heck of it. It's basically like a softcore porn video that they're selling on the website, and this guy played the media like a violin and the feminists, and whenever he was on TV, it was like, you stupid feminists, you just look for something to complain about. Well, shut up, it's free country. Like, he was right on top of him. Anyway, well, you'll see, that's the background for the story. Then I'm up there. I was told to I was asked what my opinion was by the producer, and I said my opinion is, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's legal. It's a free country as long as we're not breaking any laws. Like you can't tell them that it's illegal, but it's not, nothing. I probably wouldn't drop $5 grand to play paintball for an hour, even if there's a bunch of naked women there.
So it's for an hour.
The game lasts,
supposedly.
in theory, this theoretical game, which I don't think exists, lasts between 20 minutes and an hour. So, I mean, they priced it so high that they thought nobody would ever do it. It was just to rattle people's, bones a little bit, and it worked. I mean, they did it perfectly. And this is an example of how you can get one little thing. Now, there's a million porn sites, there's a million weird videos out there, but the one thing that these guys did that made them in this firestorm, the reason why they made it into the center of this media attention and got all this free publicity was because they offered these hunts, even though it was totally bogus. Just the fact that they offered it, the local news person got a hold of it. Then, once it hit that thing, it hit the wire, and then, everyone was on every channel for a week. So I watched the news a fair amount. So I mean, it was all over the news last week. This week now it's gone. It was like about 10 days maybe it lasted, and then by the end, people were catching on that the whole thing was probably fake. So.
Well, the hook is, though, that possibly it's not fake. And we're not entirely sure.
For sure. Right, we don't know for sure, but my hunch is that it's fake. But you never know. I mean, I think since they've got so much publicity, probably a few people have done it, and they say, oh, sure, let's make the money. But
well, to say the least, I'm sure he's selling a lot of videos, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
probably his main objective.
Does anybody want to speak before we watch the clip? Any questions yet?
My thought after hearing this is that this is an example of how non-news eats up news time and is presented as the real. I mean, the fictional becomes the real, and the real needs of men and women are going unmet. So I think that this is what we have to begin as thinking, concerned people begin to address.
But maybe you have to like really do and say things that are like totally outrageous in order to get on the media.
It seems that's the way. That's the way it is.
It seems like that's the way it is.
Certainly.
So.
Well, you know from personal experience that the oddball story runs.
Carries it. And I want to
carries the headline.
I want to talk about my persona afterward because I just decided I was just going to say exactly what I felt, and I wasn't going to act. I wasn't going to like we watched those Mel fight videotape last month.
Mm-hmm.
And you wore a skirt.
Yeah. I did. No, but I wasn't. I decided I'm not going to try to be the outrageous guy who they're going to keep calling back because that's not who I am. So I just decided to just be natural.
Oh, you should have. No.
I think that what we're doing is outrageous right now because in some respects, in being critical of what's being presented to us as normal, it's politically incorrect.
Exactly.
We shouldn't be objecting to this. We shouldn't even be discussing it. We should just be eating it up.
Well, we're the only men's group in town, actually. Really. So we're oddballs right there. Or
different. I think in the if we had a number of what was say unenlightened feminists here, they would say, "Listen, you guys are strange. I mean, taking an objection to hunting women with paintballs. I mean, you guys, there must be something wrong with you." They would think that we would somehow be all for this. I mean, why are we objecting to it? We're objecting to it on all kinds of grounds.
Are we objecting to it? Well, we'll talk about that.
Let's watch the thing first, and then people.
But we're not. We're objecting, but we're not moralizing. This is not moral. This is a larger issue here.
Okay. So without further ado,
let's see the film clip.
Bambi. A local Las Vegas business is creating quite a stir. The company is called Hunting for Bambi, and it promotes a paintball event in the desert where naked women are the targets. As the investigation into Hunting for Bambi continues this hour, the idea behind it is also up for debate. So let's do that right now. Mark Sutton is Secretary and Director of the New York chapter of the National Coalition of Free Men. He joins us from New York. And Wendy Wright is the Senior Policy Director for Concerned Women for America. She joins us from Washington. Good morning to you both, Mark and Wendy. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
This has the potential to get really spirited, so let's start off with you, Mark. How much of a concern is this, or should this be?
I think there is definitely a legitimate concern on the fact that this portrays violence against women, and especially women I've talked to who have experienced some sort of violence do get very upset by it. On the other hand, this is a free country, and you have to remember women are profiting from this as well. So people have the choice to do something that you hate, and you have to tolerate it unless they're breaking the law. And as far as I can tell, they haven't broken any laws. And we're talking about a state, Nevada, who they have ads that say, do what you want to. What happens here stays here. That's the motto of their, their marketing campaign to come to the state. So they want people to come there and do whatever they want. It's a free country, and as disgusting as this is, I personally, find this quite offensive. But that doesn't mean you can lock people in jail just because you don't like them.
Wendy, your thoughts? Is this a new low in exploitation of women?
Well, I think this encourages sociopaths to act out against women. And 9/11 showed us there are two kinds of men. There are those who will put themselves in harm's way to rescue others, and there are those who get a thrill out of inflicting pain upon others. Now, as far as consent, just in Germany this week, there was a man who was arrested for murdering and cannibalizing another man who consented to the act. And the police said it doesn't matter if the victim consented, the murderer intended to kill, and he should be punished for that.
Okay, Mark, so respond to that. Basically, Wendy's saying, this is kind of depraved behavior. I mean, does the end justify the means?
Well, you have to, this is paintball. This isn't real guns. Nobody's getting seriously injured. First of all, there's some speculation to how truthful this whole website is anyway, but let's assume that the idea is real. You have to realize that, these women are getting paid a lot of money to do this. These games last from 20 minutes to 1 hour, according to their website. And, to make $2,500 in 1 hour for some women, that's a lot of money. As degrading and as horrible as this looks to us, for them, that's a lot of money. They are definitely making their own choice to do that.
Okay, this really shows, though, how degrading some people feel women should be, in that if you're just looking at the money, they're charging $10,000 for a hunt, where the women, if they get hit, get $1,000. So clearly the women are not benefiting from this. The men are benefiting.
Wendy, what about this being defensible as free speech, something like this? I mean, look, let's face it, these women are doing it on their own accord. They're not underage minors, to the best of our knowledge.
Well, free speech is meant to be an exchange of ideas and opinions to further debate in the country. This isn't speech, this is action, it's causing harm upon others. And surely women are going to end up being seriously hurt by this. These paintballs are at a 200 miles per hour velocity. So most likely a woman is going to get seriously hurt, and I would expect then there's going to be multi-million-dollar lawsuits.
And Mark says that these women profit from it financially speaking, but what does it do overall to the perception of women?
You've hit, I think, probably the most important point, and that is it degrades women. And I would hope that the police would be interested in looking at the list of people who have signed up for it, because that's a potential list of wanted criminals and sociopaths that they ought to be looking at.
Mark, what do you want to say in defense of people of your gender, the men who want to come out and do this kind of thing?
Well, the group that I represent, the National Coalition Free Men, we do not take a position on what people's opinions of sexuality are. That's their business. We're more interested in what's fair within guidelines of the law and society versus men and women. And what does concern us about this is there does seem to be this sort of hunting, aspect to it, which we find very troubling. So, I'm not going to defend the men who choose to do this, other than to say, people have a right to their own sexuality. And Mr. Burdick's comment that there's nothing sexual to this is completely absurd. Of course there's something sexual to this. If there was nothing sexual to this, a woman wouldn't be running around naked.
You know what? I'm glad you said that one, Mark. Both Mark Sutton and Wendy Wright, thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
To me, it was just silly. It was like, it didn't even look realistic. It's just some stupid thing to make money.
Mark, congratulations. That was a very good job. Excellent job.
Good job.
Right? Professional.
You did a great job, Mark.
Thanks.
Very good, very good. Seems like, I thought that group Concerned Women for America is generally a conservative group.
They are.
Yeah.
But they came out against it, as a feminist group would.
Using some of the same reasoning.
Yep. All right, so let's go around. What do you think of this, John?
It seemed like it was a spoof, Gary. They really didn't give us enough information, enough footage. It's kind of entertaining. I did find it amusing. in one respect.
So, mark down one tape for John.
Yeah, how much?
Research.
Yeah, we need to.
You gotta do some research.
We need to do further research. on
Definitely
this.
need to research
Got some
that.
naked women over here for John to research with.
Well, it's an interesting
These guys-
perspective on an issue if you think about it. I mean,
All right, we don't have to go around in a circle. Let's just jump right in. All right, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, to me, that I just think of the 6-year-old boy getting, accused of sexual harassment because he pulled some 5-year-old girl's hair. I mean, to me, it's so similar. It's like, let's take some absurd situation, let's look at it through extremely distorted lens of this sort of ultra-feminist viewpoint. I mean, it's just some stupid video that, like, it was funny partly because it was funny unintentionally partly and intentionally partly, but people just blow these things out of proportion and it turns into this big persecution of women. It has nothing to do with it.
Certainly. I think it's still meaning to men and women, actually. And I do believe it's a hoax. But I do relate it to prostitution, and it is a victimless activity. And as far as prostitution, it is very similar. You could relate it to it very easily. Prostitution fills a need, as this sort of does. Not for everybody, but it's victimless. It is a win-win situation for both sides, I guess. As far as prostitution, I don't mean to get off the subject, but I think that's like more relevant than this non-issue. But as far as like prostitution, I believe it demeans men and women, but it does fill a need, and I think it would sort of level the playing field. It would give a lot more men opportunity to get sex. I like that idea. I don't like the idea that women have this hold over men sexually. And I think this would sort of go in some way towards leveling that playing field.
You mean like an outlet for men?
Empty out the single bars. Okay, in other words, men won't have to pay for dates, pay for drinks, just to maybe have sex, or probably not get sex. I like the idea of giving men a little bit more power.
Give them another out.
Well, exactly.
in Nevada,
Exactly.
they're public servants in
Right.
Nevada.
I mean, and all the women who were in that video. By the way, that video was, that was the video that they sell, and so they acknowledged when they showed that video that it was fake. They're like, this is just our video that we did to sell, but people liked the idea so much they approached us and wanted to do the actual hunts, so we decided to sell them on our website. So, they were never claiming that that was real. They were, that was staged.
These are actors, right?
Right.
And it is entertaining and it is funny in a demented sort of a sense to a degree, but it's no more ridiculous than a cartoon like South Park.
Yeah.
That's on TV. That's just a warped sense of humor,
Yeah.
and that's all that this is.
Yeah.
But what makes it difficult to deal with is the fact that somebody wants to attack this and try to label all men as animals, or hunters, or portray them in that light, so to speak, and that women are victims. They're not victims. These women are, again, these are actors, and these women are volunteering for
Well,
this.
yeah, that's
and
really,
they love
that
their
really
job.
is the bottom line, that this is consensual. Assuming it's not a hoax, assuming this is all for real, it's being done, everybody is consenting to this, and it is legal, so what's the problem? The feminist, the woman from the feminist group, Wendy Wright, I believe her name was, she was basically arguing about the situation with cannibalism, where there was consent, but still one man killed another person, and therefore it was wrong. But that her whole discussion is like totally out of place, because we're not with this paintball thing and these women who were being shot at with these guns with paint. This is all. There's nothing illegal. Murder is illegal. Okay, cannibalism, if you eat another person and they die, that is illegal, whether there's consent or not. In this situation, where
seasoning or no seasoning,
no one's being eaten.
A person gets eaten in the forest.
no one's dying here. As far as we can see, there's no illegal activity going on here.
So the analogy is not right on.
This woman is Wendy Wright. She is just like, it's like typical of what so many feminists do. They just will create an argument that is so convoluted.
They blow things out of proportion.
Yeah.
For attention. That's all they're doing here.
Yeah,
That's what they're doing is taking
this
and
woman
blowing
is
out of
going
proportion.
from this playful game, whatever, into like some kind of like really psycho cannibalism act. I mean, it's like she's like going from here to there, and how the hell did she get there? But this is, we see this all the time with feminists, how, men will bring up a rational point, and then women will counter it with some argument that leaves you totally.
Well, as we were just commenting about Gloria Allred, she'll just totally ignore the point you just made.
Gloria Allred is
steamroll right into her own point.
She just keeps talking, and I think her secret hope is that no one will notice that she's making a lot of it up, because she just keeps talking so quickly that it's like she hopes, I hope nobody catches me, I hope nobody's going to ask me any questions. And I have seen her on TV, and when people have asked her questions and they have asked her to back up what she's saying, she just like goes right off into another direction, ignores you. Whereas with men, and people let her get away with it, because unfortunately right now feminists seem to have the upper hand, and people tend to give them the benefit of the doubt more quickly, but they don't tend to give men the benefit of the doubt, and that's why when men will raise an issue, everybody's on their back. Where'd you get that number from? How was the research conducted? How was the sample selected? Were proper research methods utilized? I mean, it's like everything is scrutinized.
That's a good point, because we create this monster ourselves by constantly ignoring them when they make nonsense out of nonsense things. When they blow things out of proportion, we ignore them because they're not worth listening to. But they don't stop, and they snowball, and they keep going with it.
Well,
we're running out of time. We really only have about 3 minutes.
Now that I've played psychiatrist for a while and listened to everyone.
You decided that we all need help.
That was more than analyzed.
No, I decided that we got taken in by this. And what do I mean by that? See, I think we should start thinking about sexploitation. And sexploitation really has to do with the exploitation of our natural impulses as men and women. And I think that the natural impulses of men and women and our desire to be sexual or to participate in the hunt or the chase.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't.
It's all there, exactly right.
Yeah. So we got taken in by this, and then what happened is it kind of devolved then into an argument. It became the battle of the sexes, and basically we were all had, both men and women. We were all had. Any men that participated in this were had. Any women that participated in it were had. And then the argument that takes place between the feminists and the men, so to speak, allegedly defending men. We don't have to defend ourselves here. Exactly. I mean, what we want is a just society. We want a good place for all of us to live, men and women. So we want to do something about sexploitation. In other words, the commercial use of sex to distract us from whatever the hell we're doing in order to extract a few bucks out of us.
Yeah, certainly. Very good, Ed. Well, looks like we ran out of time. I'd like to thank my colleagues, all of us here at the NCFM. Thank you very much. And we're going to have to say good night from all of us at the Men's Forum. Thank you.